The bitter winds of Kepler 442b howled through the crystalline canyons as Queen Elena Martinez stepped off her scout shuttle. Her breath formed instant clouds in the sub-zero air, despite her environmental suit's heating systems working at maximum capacity. The distress beacon had been broadcasting for 6 hours now, and every second delay could mean death in these conditions. Elena's boots crunched through the alien snow as she followed her scanner's readings toward the signal source. As the ruler of humanity's first colony world, she had personally responded to thousands of emergency calls, but something about this one felt different. The beacon wasn't using standard human frequencies, yet the mathematical patterns suggested intelligence. Your Majesty, perhaps I should lead the advance team. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison's voice crackled through her comm system. Her security detail had wanted to secure the area first, but Elena refused to let protocol slow down a potential rescue mission. Negative, Jake. Someone's life hangs in the balance out here. Elena pushed forward through the swirling snow, her scanner beeping more rapidly as she approached the source. The wind carried strange sounds, not quite crying, but something that tugged at her maternal instincts. Around a massive ice formation, Elena discovered the source of the signal, a small figure huddled against the base of the crystal wall, barely visible beneath a thin, torn blanket that provided almost no protection against the brutal cold. The creature was clearly not human. Its skin showed a pale blue coloration, and it possessed 4 arms instead of 2. But its posture, the way it shivered and whimpered, spoke of universal suffering. Elena's heart clenched as she realized this was a child. An alien child, alone and freezing on one of the harshest worlds in known space. Without hesitation, she activated her suit's external speakers. "Hey there, little one!" Elena kept her voice gentle as she approached slowly, not wanting to frighten the creature further. The child looked up with large, violet eyes that seemed to hold depths of fear and hope. Despite the alien features, Elena could see the unmistakable expression of a lost child looking for help. The creature made soft clicking sounds and gestured weakly with one of its 4 arms toward the sky. Elena's translation software struggled with the unfamiliar language, but the meaning became clear through context and body language. The child was waiting for someone, likely its mother. "Are you hurt?" Elena asked, switching to basic mathematical concepts and simple gestures. The child shook its head, but continued shivering violently. Elena could see hypothermia setting in despite the creature's apparent adaptation to cold climates. Without a second thought, Elena began removing her outer thermal layer. Her security training and years of leadership had taught her to assess risks quickly, and right now, the greatest risk was letting this child die from exposure. "Your Majesty, what are you doing?" "The temperature is minus 40 degrees Celsius. Lieutenant Commander Morrison protested through the comm. "I'm saving a life, Jake." Elena wrapped her thermal blanket around the alien child, who looked up at her with wonder rather than fear. The gesture seemed to break through whatever language barrier existed between them. The child pointed to itself and made a series of clicking sounds. Then it pointed to Elena and attempted to mimic human speech. "Queen Elena?" The words came out distorted but recognizable. Elena's eyes widened. "You understand me? You know who I am?" The child nodded vigorously and began speaking in rapid clicks and whistles. Elena's translation software finally achieved a breakthrough, converting the alien language into text on her suit's display. "My mother," she spoke of the human queen who helps all people. She said, "If I ever needed help, to find the kind human leader who treats aliens like family." Elena felt tears forming in her eyes despite the freezing temperature. This child's mother had somehow known about her reputation for treating all sentient beings with equality and respect. But where was this mother now? "Where is your mother, sweetie?" Elena asked, gently, continuing to share her body heat with the small alien. The child's violet eyes filled with what could only be tears. "She went to get help 3 days ago. Our ship crashed in the mountains. She told me to wait here and keep the beacon running, but she hasn't come back." Elena's military mind immediately began calculating probabilities. 3 days in these conditions without proper shelter meant the mother was likely dead. But she couldn't give up hope, and she certainly couldn't let this child know her fears. "We're going to find your mother," Elena promised, surprising herself with the conviction in her voice. "But first, we need to get you somewhere warm and safe." As Elena lifted the alien child in her arms, she felt a strange connection forming. This moment would change everything, not just for her personally, but for human-alien relations throughout the galaxy. Sometimes the most important decisions weren't made in council chambers or on battlefields, but in quiet moments when one being chose to help another. The child's 4 arms wrapped around Elena's neck with surprising strength, and she could feel the young alien's body beginning to warm under her thermal protection. Together, they began the journey back toward the shuttle, while Elena's mind raced with plans to mount a search and rescue operation for the missing mother. Behind them, the distress beacon continued its lonely broadcast, a technological prayer sent into the void by a mother's love and answered by a queen's compassion. Elena hurried through the corridors of her command ship, the alien child bundled in medical blankets and cradled in her arms. Dr. Lisa Rodriguez met them at the medical bay entrance, her scanner already running diagnostics on their unexpected patient. Temperature is stabilizing, but I'm reading some unusual physiological markers, Dr. Rodriguez reported as she guided Elena to an examination bed. Nothing dangerous, but this species has adaptations I've never seen before. The child, who had managed to communicate that its name was something like Kira through a combination of clicks and gestures, looked around the medical bay with wide, curious eyes. Despite the trauma of the past few days, Kira showed remarkable resilience and seemed to trust Elena completely. "Any word from the search teams?" Elena asked Lieutenant Commander Morrison as he entered the medical bay. "Captain Susan Blake is leading 3 search shuttles through the mountain ranges where the beacon originated. Weather conditions are improving, but it's still dangerous territory." Morrison paused, clearly wanting to say more but hesitating. "Speak freely, Jake." "Ma'am, it's been 3 days in those mountains. Even if we find the mother, chances are..." Morrison left the sentence unfinished, but Elena understood his meaning. Elena looked down at Kira, who was watching the adults with intelligent eyes. The child might not understand every word, but the tone was unmistakable. "We don't give up on people, Commander, human or otherwise." Dr. Rodriguez finished her initial examination and activated a holographic display showing Kira's biological readings. "The child is from a species called the Zephyrians, according to our xenobiology database. They're peaceful traders who rarely venture this far from their home systems. I'm reading signs of advanced genetic engineering, enhanced cold resistance, improved oxygen efficiency. This little one was built to survive harsh environments, but not for 3 days without proper shelter," Elena observed, gently stroking Kira's forehead. The child made soft purring sounds that seemed to indicate contentment. Dr. Rodriguez nodded grimly. "The mother would have similar adaptations, but the mountains of Kepler 442b push the limits even for engineered physiology. Still, if she found shelter," Elena's personal communicator chimed with an incoming transmission. Captain Blake's face appeared on the small screen, snow whipping around her environmental suit. "Your Majesty, we've located what appears to be a crashed vessel approximately 40 kilometers northeast of the beacon location. It's partially buried under an avalanche, but we're detecting faint energy signatures." Hope flared in Elena's chest. "Life signs? Unclear at this distance. The geological interference is massive. We're setting down to investigate, but it'll take time to dig through the debris field." Elena made a decision that surprised everyone in the room, including herself. "I'm coming to you, ma'am, with respect. That's not advisable. The weather is worsening again, and if another avalanche hits..." Captain Blake's concern was evident, even through the static-filled transmission. "Captain, I've made my decision. Kira here has been waiting 3 days for her mother to come home. I won't let that waiting be in vain." Elena looked down at the alien child, who seemed to understand the conversation despite the language barrier. Kira grabbed Elena's hand with 2 of her 4 arms and made urgent clicking sounds. The translation software converted her words. "Please, help my mama. She saved others before. Now she needs someone to save her." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "If you're determined to go, Your Majesty, at least let me accompany you. If we find the mother alive, she'll need immediate medical attention." Elena nodded, then looked at Lieutenant Commander Morrison. Jake, I want you to stay here with Kira. Keep her comfortable and let her know we're doing everything possible to bring her mother home. As Elena prepared to leave for the crash site, she noticed Kira removing something from beneath her torn clothing. It was a small, crystalline pendant that seemed to glow with its own inner light. The child pressed it into Elena's hands with great ceremony, speaking rapidly in her native language. The translation appeared on Elena's display. This is our family's star guide. It will help you find Mama and bring you both home safely. My mama gave it to me, and now I give it to you. Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders like a physical presence. This wasn't just about finding one lost alien anymore. This was about proving that humans could be trusted to protect and care for other species, even at personal risk. I promise you, Kira, I will bring your mother home. Elena clipped the pendant to her environmental suit, feeling its subtle warmth even through the protective layers. As Elena headed toward the shuttle bay, she could hear Kira's voice behind her, speaking to Lieutenant Commander Morrison in halting English. Queen Elena, she will save Mama. I know this. Mama told me. Humans are the helpers in the dark. The words followed Elena through the corridors of her ship, strengthening her resolve. Somewhere in those frozen mountains, a mother waited for rescue. Not knowing that her child had already touched the heart of humanity's leader. Elena would not let either of them down, no matter what dangers lay ahead in the unforgiving landscape of Kepler. 442B. The shuttle bucked violently as Captain Blake navigated through the worsening storm toward the crash site. Elena gripped her safety harness while Dr. Tactical raped her. Rodriguez checked their medical equipment for the third time. Through the forward viewport, she could see the massive mountain range that dominated this continent of Kepler. 442B, its peaks shrouded in clouds and driving snow. Visual contact with the debris field, Blake announced over the intercom. Setting down at the nearest safe landing zone, it's going to be a half-kilometer hike through some rough terrain. As they touched down, Elena could see the other search shuttles already positioned around what remained of an alien vessel. The ship had clearly been designed for atmospheric flight, with smooth curves and elegant engineering that spoke of advanced technology. Now it lay broken and half-buried, a testament to the unforgiving nature of this world. Elena stepped out into the howling wind, immediately feeling the cold penetrate her environmental suit despite its advanced heating systems. The search teams had already begun excavating around the vessel's hull, using portable plasma cutters to melt through the accumulated ice and debris. Status report, Elena called to the lead excavation team leader, Sergeant Maria Santos. We've cleared access to what appears to be the main cabin area, Santos replied, her voice barely audible over the wind. Energy readings are stronger now, but we're also detecting some structural instability. The avalanche damaged the ship's support framework. Dr. Rodriguez moved up beside Elena, her medical scanner active and sweeping the area. I'm picking up biological signatures from inside the vessel. Faint, but definitely present. Someone's alive in there. Elena felt her heart race with hope mixed with urgency. After 3 days trapped in a damaged ship in these conditions, every minute could be crucial. How do we get inside safely? Captain Blake joined their huddle, consulting her tactical scanner. The main hatch is completely blocked by debris. There's a secondary maintenance port on the starboard side that might be accessible, but it's small. Only one person at a time. Elena immediately started moving toward the indicated area. I'll go first. Your Majesty? Absolutely not, Blake protested. Let me send in Sergeant Santos. She's trained for confined space rescue operations. This child's mother saw something in humans worth trusting, Elena replied firmly, touching the crystalline pendant that Kira had given her. I won't delegate that responsibility. Besides, I'm smaller than Santos. If anyone can fit through that maintenance port, it's me. Dr. Rodriguez handed Elena a portable medical kit and emergency oxygen supply. If you find her alive, these stims will stabilize her condition long enough to get her out. But Elena, if the ship shows any signs of further collapse, you get out immediately. Elena nodded and began crawling through the narrow maintenance access. The interior of the ship was dark except for the faint glow of emergency lighting systems running on backup power. Ice crystals covered every surface, and she could see her breath even inside her environmental suit. Following the biological readings on her scanner, Elena made her way through the ship's compact interior. The vessel seemed designed for a crew of 2 or 3, with efficient use of space that reminded her of human racing shuttles. Personal belongings were scattered throughout the cabin, including what appeared to be children's toys and clothing. In the forward compartment, Alia found her target. A female Zephyrian, clearly Kira's mother from the physical resemblance, lay unconscious beneath a section of collapsed ceiling. She was alive but barely, her breathing shallow and her skin showing the pale blue coloration that indicated severe hypothermia in her species. "I found her," Elena reported through her comm system. "She's alive but critical. The ceiling collapse has her trapped, but I think I can free her." Working carefully to avoid further destabilizing the wreckage, Elena used her plasma torch to cut through the debris, pinning the mother down. As she worked, she spoke softly to the unconscious alien, hoping that on some level she could hear and take comfort from human presence. "Kira is waiting for you on my ship. She gave me this pendant to help bring you home." Aina showed the glowing crystal to the unconscious mother, though whether the fading light could penetrate her unconscious state was unclear. As Elena finished freeing the Zephyrian mother, the alien's eyes fluttered open. They were the same violet shade as Kira's, filled with pain but also recognition. The mother's lips moved weakly, and Elena leaned closer to hear. My daughter? Is She's safe," Elena assured her quickly. "Kira is warm and protected on my ship. She told me to find you. She said humans are helpers in the dark." Tears formed in the mother's alien eyes. "I told her, if anything happened, find the human queen." "You came. You actually came." Elena administered the medical stims while carefully checking for injuries. "What's your name?" "Lyra. I am Lyra of the Merchant House Zephyr Wing." "My daughter," she spoke truly. "Humans are the protectors of all who need help." Working together, they managed to move Lyra through the ship's corridors toward the maintenance access. The mother was weak but conscious, her enhanced physiology responding well to the medical treatment. Outside, Elena could hear the excavation teams working to clear a larger exit route. "The ship's structural integrity is failing." Captain Blake's voice came through Elena's comm with urgency. "Whatever you're going to do it fast. We're reading cascade failures in the support systems." Elena helped support Lyra as they reached the maintenance port. "Can you make it through here?" Lyra nodded weakly. "For my daughter, I can do anything." As they emerged from the wreckage, the ship behind them gave a metallic groan that spoke of imminent collapse. The search teams immediately surrounded them, Dr. Rodriguez taking charge of Lyra's medical care while Captain Blake helped Elena to safety. Looking back at the alien vessel as it finally surrendered to the elements, silently collapsing into the snow, Elena realized how close they had come to losing this family forever. But they hadn't failed. Against all odds, they had succeeded in reuniting a mother and child separated by disaster and distance. The crystalline pendant at Elena's chest seemed to pulse with warmth, as if acknowledging the completion of its sacred mission. The medical bay aboard Elena's command ship had been transformed into a recovery center, with specialized equipment calibrated for Zephyrian physiology. Dr. Sassoy bless. Rodriguez monitored Lyra's vital signs while the alien mother slowly regained her strength. Tucked beneath thermal blankets designed to match her species' optimal temperature range, Elena stood near the observation window watching the heartwarming reunion between mother and child. Kira had not left Lyra's bedside for 6 hours, her forearms wrapped protectively around her mother while making soft clicking sounds of comfort and relief. The translator converted their conversation into a symphony of love, concern, and gratitude that needed no interpretation. "The hypothermia is responding well to treatment," Dr. Rodriguez reported quietly. "Her enhanced metabolism is helping with the recovery, but she was perhaps 12 hours away from organ failure when you found her. Any longer, But we didn't wait any longer," Elena replied firmly. "We acted when action was needed." Lieutenant Commander Morrison approached with a datapad containing preliminary reports. "Your Majesty, we've had time to analyze the wreckage and piece together what happened. Lyra's ship suffered a cascade failure in the navigation systems during atmospheric entry. She managed to crash land instead of burning up completely, which saved both their lives initially." Elena reviewed the technical data while keeping one eye on the family reunion nearby. "What about the cargo? Do we know why they were traveling through this sector?" Morrison's expression became more serious. "That's where things get interesting, ma'am. According to the ship's logs, they weren't just passing through. Lyra was specifically searching for human colonies. She had a cargo hold full of medical supplies and technological components, all designed to help human settlements struggling with harsh environmental conditions. Elena's attention shifted fully to Morrison. They were coming to help us? It appears so. The logs indicate that Zephyrian merchants have been monitoring human expansion into hostile territories. Lyra volunteered for a relief mission to deliver aid to colonies that might need assistance surviving on worlds like Kepler 442b. The irony was not lost on Elena. While her people struggled to establish themselves on this frozen world, an alien mother and daughter had risked their lives traveling through dangerous space to bring them aid. Now, through a twist of fate, humans had been the ones to provide rescue and assistance. Rodriguez activated a holographic display showing Lyra's medical progress. She's stable enough for conversation now, if you'd like to speak with her formally. Elena nodded and approached the recovery bed, where Kira was still nestled against her mother's side. Both aliens looked up as Elena drew near, their violet eyes reflecting gratitude and something deeper, a recognition of kinship that transcended species boundaries. Lyra, I am Queen Elena Martinez of the Human Colonial Federation. How are you feeling? Lyra struggled to sit up straighter, but Elena gently encouraged her to remain comfortable. Your Majesty, I cannot express my gratitude for what you have done. You saved not just my life, but my daughter's future. When I told her to seek help from humans if anything happened to me, I prayed that my faith in your people would prove justified. Kira looked up at Elena with shining eyes. Mama told me stories about the human queen who helps everyone, even people from other worlds. I knew you would come. Elena felt moved by the trust these aliens had placed in humanity before they had even met a single human. Your mother was bringing medical supplies to help human colonies. She was risking her life to help strangers. That is the Zephyrian way, Lyra explained, her voice growing stronger as the medical treatment continued its work. We believe that intelligence creates responsibility. Those who can help must help, regardless of the species or origin of those in need. When we learned that humans were struggling to establish colonies on hostile worlds, our Merchant Council voted to send aid. Lieutenant Commander Morrison stepped forward with another data pad. Ma'am, Captain Blake reports that the cargo hold was indeed filled with sophisticated environmental control systems, medical nanobots, and food synthesis equipment, all of it designed specifically to help human colonies survive in extreme conditions. Elena felt humbled by the magnitude of kindness these aliens had shown. Lyra, your people came to help us when we were strangers to you. Now I want to ensure that you and Kira are not strangers to us. Would you be willing to remain here as guests while you recover? I would like to learn more about your people and explore ways that humans and Zephyrians can work together. Lyra exchanged a meaningful look with her daughter before responding. Your Majesty, nothing would honor us more. Perhaps this accident was meant to happen, to bring our species together in friendship rather than simply through trade arrangements. Kira tugged at Elena's sleeve with one of her small hands. Queen Elena, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetie. Will you teach me to be brave like you? Mama says you came into this scary broken ship to save her. I want to learn to help people too. Elena knelt down to Kira's eye level, feeling a surge of protective affection for this remarkable child. You're already brave, Kira. You waited 3 days in the cold, keeping the beacon running so we could find you and your mother. That took incredible courage. As Elena looked at this alien family, mother and daughter reunited against all odds, she realized that this moment represented something much larger than a simple rescue mission. This was the beginning of a new chapter in human-alien relations, built not on formal treaties or trade agreements, but on personal connections forged through mutual aid and genuine caring. The crystalline pendant that Kira had given her still hung around Elena's neck, its soft glow now seeming like a symbol of the bond that had formed between their species. In saving one alien child from the cold, humanity had gained something invaluable, proof that kindness and compassion could bridge any gap between different worlds and different peoples. 1 month after the rescue, Elena's private study had become an informal meeting place where species barriers dissolved into genuine friendship. Kira sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by holographic star charts, while her mother Lyra worked alongside Dr. Rodriguez to integrate Zephyrian medical technology with human systems. The transformation in both aliens was remarkable. Lyra had not only recovered fully from her ordeal, but had thrown herself into collaborative projects with Elena's scientific teams. Her expertise in environmental adaptation had already led to improvements in 3 different human colony worlds. Kira had become something of a mascot among the crew, her natural curiosity and 4-armed hugs winning over even the most reserved officers. Elena reviewed reports from across human space, noting the growing interest in Zephyrian aid packages that were being distributed to struggling colonies. The aliens' advanced understanding of hostile environment survival was saving human lives throughout the frontier systems. "Your Majesty," Lieutenant Commander Morrison announced as he entered the study, "we're receiving a priority communication from the Zephyrian home system. It appears to be from their High Council." Elena felt a moment of concern. Had Lyra's extended absence created diplomatic complications? Put it through to the main display. The holographic projector activated, revealing 3 elderly Zephyrians wearing elaborate ceremonial garments. Their spokesman, distinguished by intricate tattoos covering his 4 arms, spoke in the musical clicking language that Elena had grown to recognize. "Greetings, Queen Elena Martinez of the humans. I am High Counselor Vex Autumn Wind. We have received reports of your actions in rescuing our citizens Lyra and young Kira from certain death. We wish to express the profound gratitude of our entire species." Elena stood and offered a formal bow. "High Counselor, your people's kindness in sending aid to human colonies demanded no less from us. Lyra and Kira are remarkable individuals who have become dear friends. Indeed, their reports about human character and values have greatly impressed our council. We are prepared to offer a formal alliance between our peoples. But first, we have a request that may seem unusual."
Elena raised an eyebrow.
"Please, speak freely." High Counselor Vex Autumn Wind seemed to gather himself before continuing. "Our species has ancient traditions regarding life debts and the bonds formed through rescue from mortal peril. According to our customs, young Kira has formed what we call a soul bond with you through your act of salvation. This is considered sacred among our people." Lyra, who had been listening from across the room, approached with tears in her violet eyes. "Your Majesty, what the High Counselor is trying to explain is that Kira has asked our council to permit her to remain with you as an honorary daughter. In our culture, this is the highest honor a child can request." Elena looked down at Kira, who was watching the conversation with intense focus. "Is this what you want, sweetie?" Kira nodded vigorously, switching to her improving English. "I want to learn to be a helper like you, Queen Elena. Mama says you teach people to be brave and kind. I want to learn these things and help bring peace between all the different peoples in space." The High Counselor continued, "If you accept this arrangement, Kira would split her time between human space and the Zephyrian systems, serving as a bridge between our cultures. She would learn human ways while maintaining her connection to Zephyrian traditions. It would be an unprecedented arrangement, but one that could cement an alliance between our species for generations." Helena felt the weight of the moment. This was about more than personal affection for an alien child. This was about shaping the future of interspecies relations throughout the galaxy. But looking at Kira's hopeful expression, Elena knew her answer came from the heart rather than political calculation. "High Counselor, I would be honored to accept Kira as my honorary daughter, but only if Lyra remains as well as cultural advisor and to ensure that Kira maintains her connection to Zephyrian heritage." Lyra's tears flowed freely now. "Your Majesty, you offer us more kindness than we could have ever imagined. I gladly accept the position if the High Council approves." "The Council unanimously supports this arrangement," Vex Autumn Wind replied, with what appeared to be a smile. "Let this day mark the beginning of the formal alliance between Zephyrians and humans, built upon mutual aid, respect, and the bonds of chosen family." As the communication ended, Elena felt Kira's forearms wrap around her waist in an enthusiastic hug. "Thank you, Queen Elena. I promise I will study hard and learn to help people like you do." Dr. Rodriguez approached with a datapad showing communication logs. Your Majesty, we're receiving reports from across human space. News of the rescue and the Alliance is spreading rapidly. Colony worlds are requesting cultural exchange programs, and several other alien species are reaching out through diplomatic channels. Elena realized that one act of compassion in a frozen wasteland had created ripple effects throughout the galaxy. By choosing to personally rescue an alien child instead of delegating the task to subordinates, she had demonstrated human values in a way that no formal treaty could have accomplished. Lieutenant Commander Morrison handed Elena another report. Ma'am, Fleet Command is asking for recommendations on expanding search and rescue protocols to include alien vessels in distress. They want to formalize what you did with Lyra and Kira as standard operating procedure. Elena nodded, still holding Kira close. Draft a response indicating full support. If we've learned anything from this experience, it's that helping others in need isn't just the right thing to do. It's the foundation for building lasting peace between different peoples. Looking around her study at this unusual family they had created, Elena understood that she had gained far more than she had given. In rescuing two aliens from a frozen world, she had discovered new depths of human potential for kindness and connection that would guide her leadership for years to come. 6 months had transformed Elena's flagship into an unprecedented center of interspecies cooperation. The corridors now echoed with multiple languages as Zephyrian technicians worked alongside human engineers, while Kira had become the unofficial ambassador for a growing number of alien species visiting the human fleet. Elena watched from her command center as another rescue operation concluded successfully. This time, human and Zephyrian ships had worked together to evacuate a failing mining station in the asteroid belt, saving 300 workers of 4 different species. The rescue protocols developed from Lyra's experience had become the template for interspecies emergency response throughout the sector. Status report from Captain Blake, Lieutenant Commander Morrison announced. All evacuees have been successfully transferred to medical facilities. No casualties reported. Dr. Rodriguez approached with Kira at her side, the young Zephyrian now wearing a specially designed uniform that designated her as a cultural liaison officer. Your Majesty, the Altarian delegation from the mining station specifically requested to thank you personally. Apparently, word of your rescue policies has spread throughout their trade networks. Elena nodded, but her attention was drawn to Kira's unusually serious expression. In the months since joining her household, the alien child had developed an uncanny ability to sense when something important was about to happen. What is it, Kira? Queen Elena, I've been monitoring the long-range communications arrays like you taught me. There's a signal coming from the Outer Rim sectors. It's very faint, but it sounds like a distress call. The pattern is similar to what our beacon used when Mama and I crashed. Elena felt her pulse quicken. Morrison, confirm Kira's reading on the main sensors. Lieutenant Commander Morrison's fingers flew over his console. She's right, Your Majesty. We're detecting a weak distress signal from approximately 37 light-years away. The signal pattern suggests a ship in critical distress, but it's unlike any known human or Zephyrian vessel. Lyra entered the command center, having been summoned by the developing situation. Over the months, she'd become Elena's closest advisor on alien relations, her natural diplomatic skills complementing Elena's leadership abilities. The signal characteristics match those used by the Corvin Republic, Lyra reported after analyzing the data. They're an isolationist species that rarely interacts with other civilizations. If they're broadcasting a distress call, the situation must be desperate. Elena considered the implications. The Corvins were known to be suspicious of contact with other species, preferring to remain within their own territory. For them to activate emergency beacons suggested a crisis beyond their ability to handle internally. Distance and time to intercept? Elena asked. Approximately 4 days at maximum warp, assuming our new Zephyrian drive modifications hold up, Morrison replied. Dr. Rodriguez looked concerned. Your Majesty, we don't have any medical data on Corvin physiology. If there are survivors requiring treatment, we'd be operating completely blindly. Kira stepped forward, her young voice carrying surprising authority. Queen Elena, isn't this exactly why you saved Mama and me? So that when someone else needs help, there will be people ready to give it? Elena smiled at her honorary daughter's wisdom. This is exactly why we do what we do. She turned to address her senior staff. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare the fleet for departure. We're going to answer that distress call. Captain Blake's voice came through the intercom from the navigation center. Your Majesty, I should point out that responding to this call will take us into uncharted space, potentially beyond the reach of backup support if something goes wrong. Noted, Captain, but we don't abandon people in distress just because it's inconvenient or dangerous. That's not who we are, and it's not who we're going to become. As the fleet prepared for departure, Elena reflected on how much had changed since that day she found Kira freezing in the snow. The rescue protocols they had developed were now being adopted by multiple species throughout the sector. The alliance with the Zephyrians had led to technological advances that benefited everyone, and the cultural exchange programs had fostered understanding between previously isolated civilizations. Lyra joined Elena on the observation deck as the ship jumped to warp. Your Majesty, you realize that if we successfully rescue the Corvins, word will spread even further throughout the galaxy. More species will expect humans to respond to their distress calls. Good, Elena replied firmly. The universe is a dangerous place, Lyra. If we can make it a little less dangerous for everyone, regardless of what planet they come from or what they look like, then that's exactly what we should be doing. Kira pressed her face against the viewport, watching the stars streak past as they traveled toward another unknown emergency. Do you think the Corvins will be scared of us when we arrive to help them? Elena placed a protective hand on Kira's shoulder. They might be initially, sweetie. But I think they'll come to understand what we've learned, that different species can work together to solve problems that none of us can handle alone. As the fleet raced through space toward another rescue mission, Elena understood that they were doing more than just saving lives. They were creating a new model for civilization, one based on mutual aid rather than competition, on cooperation rather than conflict. Each successful rescue operation added another thread to a growing network of interspecies friendship that would make the galaxy safer and more humane for everyone. The principles learned from rescuing one freezing alien child were now reshaping the relationship between civilizations across dozens of star systems. The Corvin distress signal led Elena's fleet to a scene of devastating beauty and terror. A massive space station, clearly of advanced alien construction, hung dead in space, surrounded by the debris of what had once been a thriving mining operation. But the true source of the emergency became clear as they approached closer. The station was caught in the gravitational pull of a collapsing neutron star, being slowly dragged towards certain destruction. Sensor readings confirm approximately 800 life signs aboard the station, Lieutenant Commander Morrison reported grimly. But the gravitational tidal forces are increasing exponentially. We estimate 6 hours before the station reaches the point of no return. Captain Blake's voice crackled through the intercom with barely controlled urgency. Your Majesty, our standard evacuation shuttles can't operate safely in this gravitational environment. The tidal shearing forces would tear them apart before they could dock with the station. Elena studied the tactical display, her mind racing through possibilities. 6 hours to evacuate 800 Corvins using equipment never designed for this type of rescue. The mathematics seemed impossible. Lyra approached with Kira at her side, both studying their own scanner readings. Your Majesty, the Zephyrian merchant fleet includes vessels specifically designed for high-gravity rescue operations. I can contact our nearest ship, but they're at least 10 hours away. Too late, Elena replied. We need solutions we can implement right now. Dr. Den Rodriguez joined the group with her medical team's assessment. I've been analyzing what little data we have on Corvin physiology. They're silicon-based life forms much more resistant to radiation and pressure changes than carbon-based species. That might work in our favor if we can find a way to get them off that station. Kira had been unusually quiet during the crisis discussion, but now she tugged at Elena's sleeve with one of her 4 hands. Queen Elena, what if we don't try to bring our shuttles to them? What if we find a way to bring them to us? Elena looked down at her honorary daughter with growing interest. Explain what you mean, sweetheart. The station has escape pods, right? All space stations do, but the gravitational forces are too strong for the pods to reach our ships safely. Kira activated a holographic display with the natural ease she had developed over months of technical training. But what if we use our tractor beams to create a gravitational tunnel, like a safe path for the escape pods to follow? Lieutenant Commander Morrison's eyes widened as he grasped the concept. That's actually brilliant. If we position the fleet in a specific formation and coordinate our tractor beam arrays, we could theoretically create a gravity-neutral corridor. Captain Blake's voice returned through the intercom, having overheard the discussion. It would require perfect timing and coordination between all ships in the fleet. One miscalculation and we could either crush the escape pods or lose them to the neutron star's pull. Elena felt the familiar surge of determination that had driven her to personally rescue Kira months ago. Then we don't miscalculate. Morrison, get me a direct communication link with the Corvin station. It's time to introduce ourselves. The main display activated, showing the interior of the alien station. The Corvins were indeed silicon-based, their crystalline features giving them an appearance somewhat like living gemstones. The being who answered their call wore what appeared to be a station commander's uniform, his prismatic eyes reflecting fear and confusion. Unknown vessels. This is Commander Court 7 ascending, of Corvin Station Bright Edge of Discovery. Who are you and why have you approached our distress beacon? Elena stepped forward, feeling the weight of first contact with an entirely new species. Commander Court 7 ascending, I am Queen Elena Martinez, representing the Human Colonial Federation. We received your distress call and have come to assist in evacuating your station. The Corvin commander's crystalline features shifted in what might have been surprise. Humans? We have heard rumors of your species, but you are far from your territory. Why would you risk your vessels to aid strangers? Because that's what people do for each other when someone is in trouble, Elena replied. We have a plan to evacuate your people, but it will require your cooperation and trust. Over the next 30 minutes, Elena's team worked with the Corvin technical staff to coordinate the most complex rescue operation ever attempted. The human and Zephyrian ships positioned themselves in a precise formation, their tractor beam arrays calibrated to create overlapping fields of gravitational manipulation. Elena personally supervised the operation from her command center while Kira worked alongside the navigation team, her unique perspective helping to fine-tune the gravitational calculations. Lyra coordinated with Dr. Rodriguez to prepare medical facilities for potential Corvin casualties, despite having no prior experience with silicon-based physiology. First wave of escape pods launching, Captain Blake announced. 20 NF pods carrying approximately 200 evacuees. Elena watched the tactical display as the tiny craft launched from the dying station into the chaotic gravitational environment around the neutron star. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, the pods were buffeted by massive tidal forces that should have torn them apart. Then the human tractor beams engaged, creating corridors of stable space through which the escape pods could safely travel. One by one, the Corvin evacuation craft made their way to the human ships, guided by technology and determination, working in perfect harmony. First group successfully recovered, Morrison reported with obvious relief, preparing for second wave launch. The process repeated 3 more times over the next 4 hours, each evacuation wave bringing more Corvin civilians to safety aboard Elena's fleet. With each successful rescue, Elena felt the growing trust and gratitude of an entire species who had been saved by the combined efforts of humans and Zephyrians working together. As the final escape pod was recovered and the empty station finally succumbed to the neutron star's gravitational pull, Commander Court 7 ascending appeared on the main display once again. His crystalline features now showed unmistakable emotion. Queen Elena Martinez of the humans, your people have saved 800 Corvin lives today. We had resigned ourselves to death, believing that no help would come to such a remote location. Yet you came anyway, risking your own ships and people, for aliens you had never met. Elena smiled, feeling Kira's proud presence beside her. Commander, today you learned something about humans, but we learned something about Corvins too. Your people maintained perfect discipline and cooperation during the evacuation, trusting us completely despite never having met our species before. That takes remarkable courage. As Elena's fleet set course for the nearest safe harbor, where the Corvan refugees could be properly cared for, she realized that each rescue operation was building something larger than individual friendships between species. They were creating a new standard for civilization, one where species helped each other not because of treaties or trade agreements, but simply because it was the right thing to do. The galaxy was becoming a more connected and compassionate place, one rescue at a time.